Hey everybody, it's Casual Boops coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be covering the Object 279E, which in a different way. I don't know if you guys, if anybody here has watched my video on field mods, but toward the end of that I talked about builds and how eventually people would come up with the various different builds that do crazy stuff and do things in a different way, and this is going to be about one of those, because I won't say that I came up with it. I'll credit that to the Oscar, but what the Oscar came up with, I've tested and I wanted to show you guys, and it's the 279E with a twist. It's basically the speed mode, speed build, fast mode, whatever, turbo build, whatever you want to call it, fast. It's a fast 279E, and so that's what I wanted to show you now. So basically, I'll hop into the stats real quick, and it's, I'll keep it light because I've already covered this tank once before. But basically, the DPM is kind of okay. The Alpha 440 is fine. It's average for tier 10. 258 pen is fine. The premium is 340 LOL heat pen, which is excellent. Kind of a derpy gun. The turret traverse is fine, but like a dispersion is fine. But like overall, the gun feels kind of derpy. It's a 122. The gun, the shell velocity is not that fast. Goes 40, but only really goes 40 on hard terrain, right? Mostly it just hangs out around 30 or so. So it's not that fast normally. It goes, it's only got 5 degrees of gun depression. It's got a full turret and 400 meters of base view range and a 4-man crew, just like a lot of the Soviet heavy tanks. So just like this doesn't look exciting. And I'm sure that most of you guys at this point have already heard of this tank or know about this tank, or maybe you have this tank already. But basically, this doesn't sound exciting. But the thing about the tank that is really good is the armor, because this is what you get. Oh my god. Now this is somebody shooting standard rounds, right? 258, this is what you get. And you do have these cupolas, which is something to to worry about. But then the big thing is you have this beak on the front, this very angled, very well angled kind of hovercraft UFO kind of armor profile with no lower plate. You just got 4 tracks. So this is a huge pain in the ass. But if I will say that it only really works if you do it properly, right? If someone knows what they're doing, you could tap 2 on this thing, and if you're straight on, then you can pen something that's flat, right? The high penetration heat rounds can pen the flattened out parts. If you're able to look down on one of these things, like if you're above it, it doesn't. AP rounds will go in, right? Because the armor thickness is only 170, but the fact that it's very well angled is what makes it very good. So you'll know if people, like, maybe they just got the tank, or because you could earn this one yourself, right? This is available to anyone for completing the last campaign. You get an Excalibur and then a Chimera and then a 279E. Anybody can get this technically. It's kind of hard. But if somebody like just got the tank, or maybe they didn't really earn it themselves and they paid somebody else to do it, anyways, then they might be doing it wrong, right? And so if they're doing it wrong, it's not very hard to deal with these things if you're putting your tank in the wrong positions where somebody can shoot down at you. But if you can tell when someone knows what they're doing, if they're doing it right, which means they're finding a way for them to look down at you, and if they are, then this is what you see. And even premium, you got this little duck bill at the front, and that's it. That's real small, and like the armor is basically, F you, no matter what is shooting at you for the most part. I mean, the Jaegeru heat, I guess, but can pen this. But the point is, the armor is really, really good if you're able to look down at opponents. So that's what you want to do. I mean, it doesn't work all the time. So you need to be, as a player of this tank, you need to be looking for positions on the map where you can either push yourself up on some rocks and and tip yourself up, or where you can be like looking down at enemies at the top of a hill or something like that. That's when the armor works really well. And it's it's really good in those positions. In fact, it's insurmountable, I would say, in those positions. It's really good. But I think it's I'm not going to say it's balanced, but it's balanced out in some way by the fact that it's so darn slow. Well, so this is the part where I'm just gonna, all right, flip now to the build. This is the build, and so real quick, the parts that are important, right? So you're gonna get this thing fully field modded, right? Go all the way to at least level 7 field mods, and then what you're gonna do is you can either take the mobility slot and throw a turbo on it in the mobility slot, or instead you can have a purple turbo, and if you have one of those, and then I suppose you could swap this for a firepower slot, whatever. The point is you want to go fast. You got to go fast. And so I did this. This is how I have it set up, where you have the purple turbo, or the mobility slot and the turbo And then you definitely need the modified configuration, and I'll go into exactly why. But that also, because this thing gets ammo racked all the time. The ammo rack health, it's right behind the spot where it gets shot all the time. The ammo rack just goes off. This thing, they explode all the time. And so you want the purple modified configuration to make sure that that doesn't happen. If you don't have one of these purple ones, you can throw a regular one in the improved slot, and you can do some shuffling. But then I liked having the improved hardening, because then you get a bunch of hit points too. You get almost up to almost 2,800, which is almost where a mouse is. Like, that's crazy. But the most important thing, the reason why you want this modified config, is because when a module, it increases the module health, right? Like an engine health goes way up, and it also makes your tracks repair faster, which is important if you're going to go mobility build. But then it also, what happens is when a module gets damaged or gets destroyed and you repair it, let's see, I think it's actually, let me flip to it real quick so I can read the things. Okay, in the game, you get more durability, faster repair speed, prevents one fuel tank fire, ammo rack explosion, and engine destruction in a battle upon the destruction of these modules. That's key. Why does that matter, Boops? Well, because the other thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be running food, but then, this I suppose you could do without, but you have this. You have the modified config, so you're not going to get ammo racked. You're not going to get set on fire, probably. So that means you don't need a fire extinguisher. So food. And then you don't need to repair anything, because nothing gets damaged except maybe your gun once in a while, and it's really annoying when it happens. But you don't need a repair kit, right? And I know that's crazy. You're going to say, "What are you doing? This is crazy stuff." Instead, we're going to use the removed speed governor, which you can turn on and off. And when you turn it on, a timer starts where it starts to damage the engine. But you get 10% extra engine power. Well, damaging the engine doesn't really matter, because we have, flipping back to this, we have way more engine health. And then, even when the engine does get damaged, purple modified config makes it so that you go back to full health. So it basically negates the downside of the modified, or the remove speed governor, by having this, by having the modified config. So this is huge. This and this go together really well, and they're both important. So then, beyond that, you definitely want the all-terrain suspension. And I was going to go into this in in another video about field mods, but I'll probably just cover it now. So I will just show you now, okay. When you just have level 2, I want to show you this. So pay attention to the mobility here, and kudos to the TanksGG folks for putting this in there, because it allows you to demystify a lot of the stuff about this. So you would think, when you look at these two options, all-terrain suspension gives you basically terrain resistances at the expense of suspension durability and some hull traverse speed. So you would think that this would allow you to go in a straight line faster, and this would allow you to turn faster, right? Well, no, because if you look at the effective traverse with the traverse speed buff, you're going 29 degrees per second, 22.2 degrees per second, 15 degrees per second. When you get this one, which is supposed to make it so that you have worse hull traverse, you actually have better effective hull traverse. So, what the fuck? There's really not a reason to ever pick anything other than the all-terrain suspension on every single tank that can get it. And some of these are better than others. But anyways, this is why you're picking this one. So I'll go back to the build. So you're picking this one because this is just better all the time. And it gives you better ground resistances, which makes it even easier to get up to your max speed and so on. This one is up to you. It doesn't matter. This is just aiming and gun stats, which are whatever. This one, I would always pick the view range, just because, since we're not having events, we're not having optics, it's going to be as important as possible to get your view range as much as it can, as high as it can be. But again, this is debatable. This isn't really necessary for the build. The things you need to go fast are definitely the mobility slot, and then this is the big one here, the +4 to top speed. So, and then this one I'd go for the hit points, but this is not as important. This is the level 7 is important, level 6 is important, and level 2 is important. Because these are the ones that help you go fast. And what that means is eventually then you get to the point where you get a 49 km/h top speed, and you can even mostly get there, right? So that means that on normal medium terrain, which is most of the maps and most of the positions in this game, you're still going 46. which is huge, almost 50, right? And so compared to a stock, non-upgraded, doesn't matter, regular, normal 279E, that thing maxes out around 31. So instead of that, we're going 46. This is huge, right? So this is basically what I wanted to cover, because this is a little bit unorthodox and I thought it was really interesting. So yeah, this is the build, and I'm going to show you now an example of what it can do. So let's get into the game. Alright, so we're going to be watching me playing the 279E, and I'm testing out this speed build, and right away from the start I asked to get a push up the hill, because I think I want to get to the top of the hill where enemies are looking down at me. It's critical that I get there fast. And I also turn the turbo on, the remove speed governor. You have to turn that on and turn it off by pressing the button. I turn that on right away, and you can see I'm doing 49 right now. I'm keeping up with this Cax. And the Centurion Accent X does decide to be a bro and give me a push up the hill. So I will admit that this is not necessarily like I wouldn't be going this fast on my own. But because I have the max speed up at 49, the Centurion Action 10 can push me, and I'm not limited by a top speed. Like if I didn't have all those mods that I mentioned before, I would still be doing 40, maybe 42, right? Instead I'm doing, oh god, 30B. Wow, that hurts. Instead I'm doing 44, 45, 46, like that's crazy stuff. And now I'm up here at the top of the hill, just about the same time that this 121B is up. And now I'm at the point where, you know, I know there's a Death Star back down the hill, but whatever. All these guys have to look up at me. This is perfect. Like, I am basically God mode in this position, because nobody can pen me. And I knew the 183 was going to come, but no, it doesn't matter. So I decided to... I know the 183 is on reload because he just shot me. So now I'm going to avoid the ram, and I'm just going to run right past this AMX, down the hill doing 46, and you know, my tracks get knocked off, but it doesn't matter. I'm repaired up, and I'm shooting this guy as I keep pushing, and I'm pushing down the hill, and I'm still have not been tracked because my track module health is super high. Turn the mobility back on with the turbo. And look at this. Like, nobody really knows what to do about a 279E that's cruising down the hill at, you know, at 42, 45, 46 kilometers an hour. It's just insane. So I chose to get down the hill and get under their gun, so I wasn't going to get tagged by this 183 again. And then I'll put a shot into the 121, and like, it's just, I have basically blitzed this entire flank before the enemy really knows what to do about this, in a way that 279Es are not really originally meant to be doing. Like, I mean, snapping shots pretty crazily here because, you know, Russian accuracy, but like I haven't even taken a lot of damage from these guys. I've definitely been allowed to, like, it's very obvious to me that this team does not know what to do about me. So now at this point, I mean, because, you know, it's a 279E coming at you at 50. So I'm just going to hang out here and wait for my team to basically catch up, because I'm here and I'm in a good position where I can angle my hull and nobody can really get a good penetrating angle on me. Even though the Leopard is shooting at me from above, he doesn't seem too interested in taking care of it now. So we'll just take the shots we have and wait for the team to catch up. And look, IS-7 decides to step up to the plate next and see what he can do. And you can tell between the shots, I'm leaning back to try to make it so that I'm not vulnerable, right? Because if you're lean forward and you flatten out your frontal hull armor, you're going to get penned. And since I know this 183 is here, and I know he's got HE, as long as I'm thinking to myself, as long as I don't give him a super flat angle, he's not going to pen me. So I decide to take the hit, and I'm going to try to circle around him to turn him around, so that if and when my team decides to move forward, then they can also shoot him, and they'll maybe help me someday, maybe someday. But even if they don't, I know that he's going to do about 300 or 400 because of the HE nerfs. Thank you very much. But it doesn't matter. I'm just going to eat this guy. This AMX doesn't seem to care. But look at that. So I just, once that Leopard left and didn't offer the 183 any support anymore, I knew he was by himself and isolated, so I could rush him, and I could get around and turn the corner, and he, I could turn him in a way that, again, a slow or normal Object 279E would not be able to do. So I've just been able to move in this match a lot. Oh, wait for it. I've been able to move in this match in a way that 279Es aren't normally able to do so. And I think, obviously this is, I think, probably all the damage we're going to get, maybe 4,600. This is not the best game that anyone's ever had on a 279E by any means, but I wanted to show this because it definitely illustrates just what this thing is capable of. All right, so at the end of the game, we had ended up taking home 2 kills, 4,600 damage, and yeah, just a little bit of spotting there. Only a third class because lol, it's a 279E. That ended up getting us 999. Let's see, 993 base XP, and I think we ended up turning a profit. No, we did not turn a profit. We did. We did turn a profit of 60,000. I'm sorry. No, reading is hard, guys. Sorry. We did not turn a profit. We cost ourselves 40,000 credits because probably would have been more too if I'd had to buy the consumables. I had those purchased in advance. But anyways, whatever. The economics of this aren't really the point. The point is this is what you can do in a 279E speed build. It's just nuts. It's just crazy stuff. So yeah, this is just the first. I'm probably going to do more of these as I become aware of them. But yeah, Speed 279E is a real thing, and I hope you guys get the chance to check it out. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.